The Giants have the quarterback. He is in play here. We're watching him. Of course, we're going to learn more about Jaxson Dart each and every week. But the expectations going up against a 49ers team that has been banged up all season long, and they've been okay, whatever, 5-3 on the year. Okay, they're fine. But they're not unbeatable. And when you're talking about a home game, when you're talking about a team that has now the offense in place, remember, that was always the biggest question with Brian Daboll, whether it was Daniel Jones, whether it was Russell Wilson, and now, of course, Jaxson Dart. Well, he's an offensive guy. How's the offense going to look for this Giants team? And that part has looked very good, even without Malik Neighbors. And now it's going to be without Malik Neighbors and Cam Skattebo. But I still have confidence that the Giants offense is going to be able to score points, is going to be able to move the football. Even in a game where they lost in New Orleans, moved the football, just turned it over way too many times. So the offense for the Giants has gotten to the level where you expect them to compete week in, week out. Now, to me, is where we need to watch the defense. And that's not obviously about the Jaxson Dart development. It's not exciting. It's not sexy. It's not seeing if Jaxson Dart can play, protect himself and play less reckless football, meaning protect the football, protect his body, all those different things. You're going to have issues with a kid as competitive as he is and plays the game as hard as he does and runs the football the way that he does. We'll evaluate that, sure. But Brian Daboll is going to be judged in the final 9 games on his win-loss record. And the way that win-loss record improves is if the defense, with a bunch of big-name players, actually does its job. I don't care what Dexter Lawrence says, what Carl Banks says, what BT or me have to say. They need to go out there and do it. Whether it's Dexter himself, whether it's Kayvon Thibodeaux, whether it's Burns, whether it's Carter, whether it's the guys in the secondary. I don't want to hear injuries excuses. I don't want to hear the linebacking excuses. I don't want to hear, the pressures almost getting to the quarterback. I don't want to hear this almost defense. I don't want to hear about high altitude, blowing games that you never should blow. I don't want to hear about the prevent defense and the coordinator Bowen. I want to see wins. This team, certainly defensively, preseason, pre-Jaxson Dart, defense was supposed to be the identity of this Giants team. That's how many people, I wasn't one of them, but many people believed in this Giants team. Before Jaxson Dart ever set foot on the field, it was going to be about the defense leading the way to a competitive season. And then eventually transitioning to Jaxson Dart and seeing how he would develop in his rookie season, whenever that may be. So why now, just because Jaxson Dart comes into play and the offense has been moving the ball and exciting everybody with the way that they've been scoring points, getting touchdowns? Remember just a few weeks ago how hard that was? Well, now they do it with regularity, scoring a bunch of points. That's not why they lose. They lose because of the defense. That was supposed to be their identity. And if Brian Daboll can't figure out how to get this defense to play better, whether it's people in the organization criticizing one of the best players, maybe trying to motivate him, whatever it may be, I don't care. But I need to see different results. Otherwise, everybody should go. The guy who brought in the players on that defense, Joe Schoen. The guy who's coaching those players on the defense, Brian Daboll. And then, of course, some of the players themselves. I don't want to hear about the extension from Kayvon Thibodeaux. I don't want to hear about the trade rumors with Kayvon Thibodeaux. I want to see them go out there and play. Play New York Giants football. Play New York Giants defense. And go beat the 49ers at home. A beatable team. You're going to likely have Mac Jones. He's a sitting duck back there. Go get him. All right, yeah, McCaffrey's tough. What, you can't stop the run? All those guys you have. You can't stop Christian McCaffrey? Figure it out. Figure out a way. Because regardless of how good Jaxson Dart is, that's the future. Obviously, it's a part of now, too, but you're excited about the future with Jaxson Dart. That's not going to change. So what are we waiting for here to start actually winning some football games, to judge this team based on wins and losses? It's the defense that cost them against Dallas, even with Russell Wilson, who had a historic day. Wasn't his fault. Wasn't the offense's fault. You could blame the offense in Washington. Can't blame them week 2 against the Cowboys. That's on the defense. Offense gives you repeated leads, especially one with under a minute to go. Figure out a way to close it out. They didn't. Okay, learn from that. Denver game. Figure out a way to close it out. You had a big lead. Defense was playing great through 3 quarters. No excuse to allow 30-plus points in the 4th quarter. No excuse. It just doesn't happen. Even for a rough defense, that's hard to do. And this was not supposed to be a rough defense. This was supposed to be their identity. It's getting overlooked because of the emergence of Jaxson Dart and Thibodeaux. Think about how exciting both Dart and Thibodeaux have been to the level that we overlook, certainly early on, the season-ending injury to Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors became an afterthought. He was an afterthought because everybody was excited about Dart and Thibodeaux. Of course, you missed him, but it wasn't, how are we ever going to score any points without Malik Neighbors? It was, oh, my God, we got Jaxson Dart and Cam Thibodeaux. And they were winning. Even just a couple of games is a lot more than we've seen in the last several years. But it's about the defense. That's where the primary focus should be. Not about the beef between Carl Banks and Dexter Lawrence. Not about Kayvon Thibodeaux maybe being traded, maybe being, keeping him here another year and potentially extending him. Not about Abdul Carter almost getting to the quarterback. Get to him. Get to him. That's what we need to see. And I expect it to happen. I believe it's in there. At the very least, to another level. If you're not going to say to a great level. Remember, we were talking to whoever it may be. Baldy, we had Kevin Burkhardt on before week one. And we're asking him about, hey, is this going to be a potentially top 5 defense? All right, maybe not top 5 defense, but certainly should be a very good defense in the NFL. Look at the players that they have. And maybe the one thought was, well, if the defense isn't going to be good, it's going to be because the offense can't move the football and they'll be on the field way too long, way too often. That's not the case. So while standings-wise, this game on Sunday with the Giants and 49ers doesn't mean a ton, when you're 2-6 and you're in last place yet again, and you feel like season is lost because you lost Thibodeaux, no Neighbors, I get it. They didn't make a trade acquisition, at least not yet. It feels like all hope is lost, and it's not about the record. But make no mistake, this is not just about evaluating, and it certainly shouldn't be. It's not just about evaluating a rookie quarterback and his new head coach. This guy has been here for 4 years. And even myself, I've said it, well, it's kind of like year one here with Schoen and Daboll and drafting their rookie quarterback. Yeah, it is in that regard. And those guys have already passed that test. Dart appears to be the guy. Daboll has coached Dart and that offense well enough that even without Neighbors, they've scored a bunch of points and have won some games. Obviously, like we said, a new challenge now without Thibodeaux. No excuse. Go out there and do it. And I believe that the offense will continue to produce and look the way that it has, for the most part, under Jaxson Dart, which is significantly better than anything that we've seen before with Brian Daboll. So, check. Dart seems to be the guy. Check. Daboll seems to be the guy to maximize what Dart can do. Check. Obviously, you want to see how that plays out the rest of the 9 games as well. But what we don't know is if Brian Daboll knows how to win football games yet. We saw it at a mild level in year one, but that gets erased when you have the significant regression that we've seen in the 3 years since. It also gets erased when you see the way that they've continued to lose games. The kicker situation dating back to a year ago, the blown leads, the last second losses, whatever it may be. That continues to happen. That has to stop. If you are a backer in Brian Daboll or want to believe in Daboll and want to see more of him, that's where you should be looking. Not about just Jaxson Dart and his development or his emergence. You should be looking to see what that defense can do. And it's an easy out to just blame Bowen. Oh, defensive coordinator. Like, come on, you got to remember. Wink Martindale was here. Him and Daboll had issues. Wink Martindale no longer here. It can't just be, well, fire Bowen and everything's going to get fixed. Or, get healthy in the secondary and everything's going to be better. I'm not so sure. Are the players actually good enough that they brought in to have success defensively? And are the coaches good enough to maximize whatever players they have there to close out games, to get wins, to make plays? Right now, the evidence tells me no. Whether it's playing Abdul Carter out of position, whether it's playing a prevent defense late in games, whether it's not maximizing what Dexter Lawrence can do, it may not be a scheme thing, but you better believe that a motivation thing should be coming from a coach. The great ones, the great coaches, They don't even really have to motivate their great players. So why is Dexter Lawrence needing to be motivated by Carl Banks? Why can't the Giants themselves do that? Those are things that I'm looking for on Sunday in what I believe to be a very winnable game against a good 49ers team. Good 49ers team. Last week's loss to the Eagles, I'm kind of throwing that out. Look, is it nearly impossible to sweep, especially for the Giants from their perspective? Eagles Super Bowl champs, good enough to beat them once in your house. Haven't swept them since 2007, haven't won there since 2013. I'm going to throw, plus they got screwed over every which way by the officials. I'm going to throw that out. The week before, they should have beaten Denver, who I think is the best team in the NFL. And at the very least, if you want to say the Chiefs, so be it. You can't make, I can make as good an argument as you can for anybody else outside of the Chiefs. And I can still make an argument that I think they're better than the Chiefs. They have a better record. Start there. For now. Point is, Giants had them beat. They had Denver beat in their building and beat them good. So I'm going to look at that being more the norm. Even with the injuries, this is a very, very winnable game. Go win it. Because if 2-7, or if 2-6 turns to 2-7, and 2-7 somehow turns to 2-8, or you're looking at 3-11, then there is no more argument to be made. I get the appeal of pairing Daboll and Dart. I get it. I also understand winning games is important. And I'm not so sure this head coach knows how to do it. And based on evidence so far, the evidence is against him. BT and Sal on the Fan. Our friends at Town Fair Tire remind you that at Town Fair Tire, you always get the guaranteed lowest price on name brand tires from Connecticut to Maine. Nobody beats Town Fair Tire. Nobody. Brian is calling from Northport. What's up, Brian?
Hey, Sal. How you doing? Thanks for taking the call.
How are you, Brian?
Listen, I'm doing good, except for this season. I'm a huge Giants fan. I want to know if you had the pro and con box, what are the reasons to keep Daboll? I used to be a huge supporter. To me now, the only pro I have in him is his passion on the sideline. That's it. That's what was missing with Robert Saleh. I don't get what the reason for keeping him is, because I feel like in that Denver game, I was in the third quarter. We were shutting them out, and I still was just looking at the clock. My wife's like, "Oh, we're going to win." I'm like, "Would you please stop?" And then it just crumbles. And I feel like he finds ways to lose, not to win.
Look, his passion is certainly an asset. I love that about Brian Daboll. The other thing would be the obvious one. They selected, and mainly Daboll selected, Jaxson Dart as his guy. He's the guy. That's a huge positive. However, However, Brian, where I'm with you is that it's got to start resulting in wins. 2-6 is 2-6. And the way that they're losing these games, there is a difference in just losing a game and say, well, you know what? They gave it everything they had. They just got beat by the better team. That would have been okay if that happened in Denver to me. It was okay that it happened in Philly. I'm okay with that. The losses that they had in Dallas, the losses that they had a year ago in Washington without the kicker, the loss that they had in Denver, that can't happen, especially in year 4 when there's no more excuse, when you have players on defense and you have your quarterback.
And it doesn't look good with, obviously, we all talk about Daniel Jones, who I'm happy for. I'm thrilled with his success. Good for him. But we can't keep hanging our head on the one win 3 years ago or 4 years ago in Minnesota. That's it. That's all we got.
Correct. And he is, and thank you for the call, Brian. Good stuff. He has regressed. Daboll has regressed significantly. Not to mention, as we had, BT and I talked about that earlier in the week, to me, the biggest indictment of Brian Daboll might, in fact, be the success that, and it's not just Daboll, it's Schoen as well, the success that Daniel Jones has had in Indianapolis. Because why is Jones able to have that success immediately, but he couldn't do that here, period? It's either A, because he wasn't coached the right way, the way he's being coached in Indianapolis, or B, the structure around him, the organizational structure and the pieces around him are better, which is an indictment of Joe Schoen. And it's probably a little bit of A and B. And it's year 4, which is why when you say, okay, well, it's great that they got the quarterback. Well, I want to see them win. So if they have the quarterback and the offense is fixed, which it is, why then aren't they winning games? And the easy out would be, wow, it's Denver. They're very tough, Sal. You didn't think they'd win. Correct. I know. But I also didn't think they'd be up 19-0. I also didn't think they'd have a lead late, scoring another dagger touchdown the same way they did against Dallas and blow that. So the way the game played out to me is a big difference. Too many times we're sitting there watching a frustrated Brian Daboll fall just short of winning a game for a variety of reasons. It's got to stop. It's got to stop. Paul is calling from Buffalo. What's up, Paul?
Sal, how you been, man?
Good, Paul. How are you, my friend?
I am good, man. Details in life are everything, and your costume today is detail-rich and just funny as heck fire, man.
Are you watching on YouTube?
Glasses.
You're watching?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you checking in on YouTube. Yes, I am dressed up. We could get into that in a little bit, but thank you very much, Paul. Appreciate you watching.
And as a Yankees analytics nerd, I have to ask you, should we trade Carlos Rodón this offseason while his value is high? Because as I've told you for years in the overnight, starting pitchers just aren't worth paying. Rookies are dominating this postseason, with the exception of Yamamoto, who is earning his money for the Dodgers. Boy, I hope he has one tonight, too.
You know,
I'd like to see a Game 7.
Well, I don't know. Thank you for the call, Paul. I don't know if I'd like to see a Game 7. I'd probably like to see the Dodgers go home, although I could see the drama. When would Game 7 be? Tomorrow night? I got something to do tomorrow night. I hope it ends tonight. Tonight I'll be home after the trick-or-treating a little bit with my daughter and my wife and watch the game, maybe see it end, hope for the Blue Jays. Tomorrow night's going to be a pain in the neck because I'm going out. I don't want to deal with that. Yeah, trade Carlos Rodón for who? For what? You're not trading Carlos Rodón. And just to be clear, I am not a Yankees analytics department member. If you're checking out on YouTube, and it'll probably be posted on social at some point here soon. I am a member of the Yankees DON, Department of Nerds. As you see here on my pocket, DON, Department of Nerds. I mean, that's what the Yankees have. Why not come up with the Department of Nerds costume today? So glad you enjoyed that. Patrick is in Melville. What's up, Patrick? As I'm sure Aaron Boone will when he gets word. Hey, we got to get that picture. Can somebody send me the picture that we took? I want to text that to Booty just to make sure he doesn't miss that. Go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, so, I think the big thing about the Giants is the owner is just loyal to a fault. I mean, he keeps, putting his, it's kind of like the definition of insanity, doing the thing over and over again, expect a different result. I mean, Daboll's had 4 years. I mean, I'm glad for Jones' success. He wouldn't have had it here. But I just think that you don't really have to tie your head that Dart needs Daboll to be a coach, because you can just tell that if you have the right coach. I mean, look at what the guy's doing in New England. I mean, Drake May looked like a mess last year because he had a horrible coach, and now New England looks like a totally different team, and they're basically a playoff team. So I think we need to stop, and sometimes you just got to rip the Band-Aid off. I mean, and it goes over and over again. Like the Eagles had Carson Wentz, who was basically took them to the Super Bowl. They got him out, and they got a new quarterback. It's just time. Sometimes you just got to move on and try to find a better thing, and just keep thinking that the same old thing is actually going to do better.
Let's not make it, and thank you for the call, Patrick. Let's not make it like Brian Daboll is the only coach who could have success with Jaxson Dart. Now, while I say that, I am also somebody who has said, I want to give them a chance. This is weeks ago, before they even started winning. For me, it was less about what Daboll's done in the past and more about, okay, well, now I really want to evaluate him with the guy that he picked. But once you pass that test, now it's okay. Well, now it's on to the next test, which is why I'm saying I don't necessarily want to break them up. I'd like to keep it here and see them have success. What I'm saying is the final 9 games are, for me, an evaluation as the team, an evaluation of the team overall as a whole. I'm looking at the defense. I don't want to hear the excuses anymore. The offense has been fixed, even with the injuries. And there are certain things that you will excuse from a rookie. See, I have excused them, and this is why I'm telling you that I'm consistent. I excused them from the Saints loss. I picked these Saints to win that game because I understand that things happen in the NFL, especially with rookie quarterbacks. And that's exactly what happened down in New Orleans. Now, you'd still like to see the Giants win that game. It's the only win the Saints have this year is against the Giants. But it shows you their margin for error, the Giants, is not nearly enough. But they did turn the ball over 5 times. But while they turned over 5 times, they moved the football consistently. So I chose to, at that point, which was start 2 for Jaxson Dart, say, okay, well, at least they move the football consistently. The rookie mistakes will get cleaned up, and when they do, they will win games. And they did just that the following week against the Eagles. But then when you blow a game like they did in Denver, That's showing that how can I trust that the coach knows what he's doing when even the pieces that he has played well enough to have a big lead in the fourth quarter and they still found a way to lose that game? And that's happened often, multiple times over multiple years. I need to see that get cleaned up before I just say, well, I need to see more with Daboll and Dart. I have to see that get cleaned up first. Otherwise, what he does with Dart to me is irrelevant.